Ah. Yeah, some of the X1X titles, man, they're beautiful. Forza Horizon 7 in particular, or not Horizon, Forza Motorsport 7. 4K, high dynamic range, 60 frames a sec. Every little detail on those cars is just stunning. But with some of the stuff that's to come, yeah, I watched someone play through that. Man, it was messy too. It went through a lot. Them trying to keep them apart. That's a lot of hell to go through for a significant other. Woo! Good lord. Ah, you played it. I haven't had a chance to play it. But yeah, it was pretty wild. I don't get into the hack and slash combat as much. I love the combat in this. It's kind of a turn-based with hack and slash. But I never really got into the Dark Souls. Or a few of the other hack and slash titles quite as much. It was more into the shooters or the RPGs. But a good story. Yeah, I watched Lindsay Lee's. She had a kill counter roll into the triple digits, 200 plus on the kill count, and crushed it. But oh man, Witcher, the Witcher games, I can handle that level of hack and slash. You know, with a little RPG and the ability to pause and kind of use magic and ranged. Ah, dang. Overpowered, finish it fast. Yeah, I usually go for someone who's really quick and can try to heal themselves. But that's in games like The Witcher 2 and things like that. And I haven't even started Witcher 3 yet. I have no idea what's changed. I mean, it could be a whole different game. The Witcher 2 was one of those console games that was almost as good looking as the PC. It was pretty wild. Yeah, it was wild. I've never seen a console game that looked quite that close to the PC before Witcher 2. And Witcher 3 runs at 60 FPS on the X1X, so it's beautiful. 4K and all the other texture software too. Jeez, I didn't know they had 8K. That's pretty wild. I haven't even seen 8K monitors out yet. Ah. Yeah, they've been through an awful lot in this series, haven't they? It's a hard life. Man. When they're escaping from the prison. Oh, that was... Yeah, that was messy. Remind me of, what was it, the old Fable titles, you know? The very first Fable, or the one they made the anniversary version of? That was a messy part on Witcher 2. Oh. Yeah. I still haven't tried Fable Anniversary. I want to. I remember that from so far back, the Lost Chapters. Yeah. It was a good RPG. And they're hoping to bring back the series. Microsoft has said someone there is working on it, but it won't be out for years, like 2019, 2020. It's going to be a while. But they are working on it, so it's interesting. I'd be curious to see what they do with it. That's one that my youngest sister, she absolutely loved. It was really easy for her to get into. The combat was simple and intuitive. The second one was her favorite for combat. Being able to answer the body parts of the rifle. Not quite having to worry about the timing as much with sword fights. Yeah. She really liked that. And there are a few games that she's gotten into RPG-wise, but she usually gets an adventure a little more, Tomb Raider and the like. And Fable is one that she just picked up, loved, played every single game all the way through. So it definitely had the ability to just pick it up and just fall for it. Even if they were a little newer to RPGs. And this actually is really easy to pick up. I think you probably had a lot of fun with this. Anyways, it's pretty late. I better call it even, man. But thanks for dropping by. Some fun hanging out. I'm excited to actually pick up the story. I'm out of side quests again. I always find a few more as I go, but man, yes, still my favorite. Her going through Yamatai. Oh, yeah, that was awesome. And being able to re-explore the entire island, also awesome. Which they did with Rise too, but yeah, that was still my favorite to date. Got the definitive edition, the behind-the-scenes stuff, all the video interviews. I didn't know that the one who did the voice acting was an archer and got into some of the parkour up at Tempest Run Academy. And then she really got into it and had a lot of fun with it. That's some great behind-the-scenes stuff there. Yeah, the rope ascender. And it was really cinematic, and the dynamic cover worked well too. I love the static cover in The Division. Runner would probably be Red Dead Redemption, even though it's old. But for our dynamic system that was really cinematic, I haven't seen anyone do it that well. I hear that. Oh, I definitely hear that. Yeah. Definitely ready for Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know, I'm hoping it's a prequel. And that the same gang that he split with that shot him at the beginning of Red Dead Redemption ends up being a little more backstory there. But if it's the son who's the only one that survives, then I'd be alright with that. But I would much rather have a prequel, you know? That'd be nice. Because there's already a good bit of story there in Red Dead Redemption, seeing how all that fell into place. That'd be worthwhile. And how he got out, for that matter. I never got to play it, but I know people liked it. I hear you can ride the 4 horses of the apocalypse in there. So yeah, famine and pestilence, and it's pretty wacky. They just had fun with it from what I hear. Ah. Oh yeah, definitely. Still love to see them bring Midnight Club back. It's been a decade, like what? Same year as Fallout 3? 08? And the Forzas are awesome. So is Forza Horizon 3. It's incredible, but I would love to see another Midnight Club. Living, breathing, heavy, populated cities. Full customization, in-air controls, and all the arcade stuff mixed with a bit of the simulation stuff. But it is king of the arcade racers without a doubt. Man, this is pure fun. It's one of my earliest Twitch highlights. Just an hour driving around having a fun run. That was back on the 360 before Elgato was even in the business. Yeah. And it's going to get pushed farther, and they're going to be able to do more with it. And the more people learn that hardware, it's amazing. Just a few patches and updates. Games that, you know, were almost unplayable. This is one of them. It had some game breakers. Like Chapter 11, people couldn't get past it. There were all kinds of other issues. Battlefields had them. Call of Duty, oh gosh. Yeah, I remember watching Miss Vixen play Call of Duty. And she was just swearing up and down that just not sure what was going on. And literally 2 days later, someone puts up a meme on BF4 saying it was a rough launch. We had our fair share of bugs. And then beneath it there was text, and it said COD World War II. Hold my Mountain Dew. That made me laugh because I know people who nothing but Doritos and Mountain Dew when they play. That's all I snack on. I've seen it. Yeah, we had a rough launch with a lot of bugs and just Call of Duty World War II. Hold my Mountain Dew. Instead of hold my beer, it was hold Mountain Dew. Oh, that made me laugh. Yeah, there were some bugs there. But I mean, even those are being patched. Most of them are patched. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has had some good patches too. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. And we talk about learning to do more with hardware. All of these Xbox One games, you know? I mean, they weren't coded anywhere near to run 60 frames a sec or in 4K or any of that stuff. Now Witcher 3 is running in 4K and 60 FPS, and it's amazing what they can do with the hardware as they dial it in more and more. And the games are being written for this stuff to take full advantage of it, even more so. Yeah. I've seen some of that on, let's see, not Stukov's patch. Taka. Who was it? Ah, it was, Phoenix. Yeah. One of the StarCraft patches? Oh man. It, like, GPU-wise, it didn't really get demanding until Legacy of the Void hit. And it looked good. But when you get too many Zerglings or too many of the smaller units on the screen, you know, you can tell like reflections and smaller details kind of dropped. And about the time Phoenix and the Purifiers hit, everything just, I mean, it became beautiful. And you could have 200 your units, 200 your co-op commanders, 400 enemies running through. It doesn't matter. I mean, every little reflection, every little detail, it's unreal when these huge armies clash and everything just goes to pieces. It's great. But yeah, seeing that for StarCraft 2, which is 7, 8, whoa, it's old. 8 years old to look that good. And to get the updates. And from co-op to new levels, new seasons. It's still the best example of real-time strategy game out there I can think of. That's saying something, because there's some really good ones, but nothing's come close to the StarCraft 2. It's just one of the best. It's got a great campaign, a great story, killer multiplayer, awesome co-op. Without a doubt. Best of its kind. Yeah. Quit. Thank you, Don. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, is that what I think it is? Huh. It's starting to rain. Yeah, I remember Red Alert 2 and 3, though. 3, its camera was so close. And it didn't have a lot of micro. It was almost entirely macro, you know? And other ones like Extreme Commander, or... Jeez. Field Commander. Wait. I actually am mixing titles up. But one of the Commander games, it had the opposite problem. So much micromanaging, but the macro, it kind of didn't really make time for it. Ah. Yeah. Oh. Man, you're trying to run all your banelings one way and keep everything ranged, roaches up front, hydras in back, Zerglings draw fire. But I mean, when you played Red Alert 3, you didn't even separate your units. I mean, your flyers, you just kind of selected everything and set attack, and you know, they'd clash, and that was really it. I don't really remember getting too involved in the battles, and even resource-wise. I mean, I don't remember getting quite as involved. It was all Tiberium, I think. I don't think there were 2 other resources. It was just the one. Front line. Have you tried... Oh man, I've been watching Caitlin play it. Have you tried their Billions? It is a real-time strategy, but you can pause it, like turn-based strategy, and then resume it at will. Kind of like the fights in Final Fantasy 15. Surviving the zombie hordes. It doesn't have its campaign yet, so at the moment it's just, you know, kind of randomly generated missions. But they say it is probably one of the most brutal and devastating ones out there. They essentially give you a chance to build a little confidence, think you're cool, and then they hit you with a unbelievably sized swarm that 9 times out of 10 crushes you. So yeah, it's one of those ones where either the difficulty level is extremely high, or it uses an adaptive difficulty, which a lot of people are really against nowadays. And no matter what you do, it's staged to make it, you know, a hair's length between surviving. Beat the challenging mode, jeez. Man. Yeah. I've seen people go in there on the challenging mode as well. I don't think I've seen anyone play the brutal mode. Man. Less time to build. But yeah, I watched some of that, and it gets messy. I still prefer StarCraft 2. I mean, that moment where you're just thinking on your feet, it's pure chaos, and you've got, you know, a pretty good build thought up and a game plan, but things can go sideways with you or your co-op commander. And especially when you think, you know, you've got a plan and it's going to be cool, something happens, and if they lose their base, technically game's over either way. If you almost lose yours, your expansion goes, you just cling to your main base or anything like that. It's co-op is a lot of fun when things go sideways and you kind of have to work together, lean on each other, or even bail each other out of a really bad attack. Sometimes you're the sword and sometimes you're the shield. Some things I really like about co-op. It does that, and it does it extremely well. Dang. Yeah. That's kind of like the upgrades in StarCraft 2's campaign. At first, one seems like it's a really good idea until you get to that last mission, and all of a sudden, if you haven't chosen them wisely, you're in trouble. It is an uphill battle. Oh man, especially on the hard difficulties, it is a seriously uphill battle. Yeah, quick saving and quick loading. That can make a big difference and stuff like that. When seconds count, literally seconds. So you try to move your forces across the map and they either intercept an army or they storm your base, obliterate half of it, and you get there just a little late, you know? Seconds count in a lot of StarCraft 2. I haven't tried their billions yet. StarCraft 2 is still my RTS of choice. But when it gets a campaign and a story, I'd like to hear about it and see what its final reviews are. But yeah, StarCraft 2 is definitely my go-to RTS. That's kind of scary. Dark Souls, yeah. I remember Dark Souls. Whoa. I like Darkest Dungeon. I remember seeing a fair bit of that too. Man, graveyards there and just a lot of people in the graveyards. Yeah, you would really have to. Man, you would really have to play your cards right on that. Kerrigan. Yeah. Oh man. If you just are one little item short that doesn't play in right on that, yeah, you're in trouble. It leaves you open. Yeah, that's the same on Heart of the Swarm. Taking out all Manx's defenses without running out of minerals and materials, you have to play for the long haul. Or you'll go in there, storm them, and next thing you know, if your static doesn't hold off the continual waves without taking too many losses, you'll wind up broke. And then you're gone. Because they just keep sending them. You destroy as many factories and as many... But until you start destroying factories and barracks, they launch like clockwork every 30 seconds-ish. From multiple positions across the map, just swarming you. So staying cost efficient, that's really important. They have an end? I didn't know that. Oh, so if you hold out long enough, it'll just be Kerrigan, huh? That's interesting. Yeah, I've never shot for that. The hard difficulties, but man, even in co-op, I actually take it down to hard because if things go wrong even for a moment, even a little miscommunication, and you're moving your forces to the wrong place while something happens, by the time you get there, there's nothing left. It's in pieces, you know? I've crushed a bunch of them on that difficulty in co-op, but it gets so iffy when you're communicating that I generally just keep it on the harder difficulty. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially when you're both acting as sword or shield, or, you know, you agree to kind of act sword or shield, and then someone kind of, things lighten up, and it's getting a little slower, and they just kind of go for it. Next thing you know, boom, something happens. I like balancing it, you know? Playing to the strengths of your armies and units rather than just, you know, the role. If you're playing a co-op commander who has good units, good static, etc., you kind of help each other out, but that way you can really use the strengths of your units rather than just saying, hey, I don't care which commander you have or who's better positioned on the map. You know, just sword and shield it. Nah. I think it's best to work to your commander's strengths. Yeah. Hey, just building cannons all over the map with shield generators. Oh yeah, I've seen that done. And there's some maps where that actually doesn't work. They'll steamroll you. They come down and they use that's the kind of like an overlord, but it can shut down. It uses a electronic web to shut down crystals. And you'll build like 3 crystals, right? And I've even seen, the most I've seen is 4 just all next to each other. And there'll be 2 or 3 and they'll fire out all the crystals, shut down the turrets, and then just steamroll everything. It's kind of like when Stukov uses his infestation ability on a crystal. Boom, all the turrets around it go dead. Only it's in the middle of a zombie horde and they fly and, man, they shut down all of your crystals. All your turrets go off. They nuke you regularly. So there's nukes firing off. I've had over a dozen nukes fire off in about a 10-minute time frame. While they're shutting down all our detectors and our crystals. It gets messy. But it's awesome, you know? Ah, yeah. Raynor was a marshal from the first game. And hell, Tychus, he was a criminal. So was Raynor technically. But, you know, he kind of does things the hard way. And the guy on the ship, Matt, he was essentially a military man and a bit of a politician to a degree. Well, an idealist, I'll say, not a politician. An idealist. Yeah, that he does. And I still remember the original dialogues in the first game. I was watching people play it when it got remastered in HD. It was pretty cool. Picked it up myself, got it for my younger sister and for a few other people. But yeah, what I like about that, any laptop, notebook, anything, it doesn't matter what you have. It'll run StarCraft in HD. So it's way more accessible. So gaming rig or no gaming rig, anyone can play the HD remake. Including on her laptop, which is really sweet. Yeah. Everyone needs an idealist, man. Keeps him from going off the rails, you know? You gotta be so in there to counterbalance that, or things start to burn. Man. Even their own people start to burn. That's kind of what happened to Arcturus in the first game. Power hungry and started killing billions of his own, and before you know it, there's just no one there to keep him on the rails. And I doubt they could have anyways. He surrounded himself with people who kind of... Like Nova's DLC? Aw. Even after Arcturus was dead, the people that he seated around him, they caused just as much trouble as he did, long after he's dead. And he surrounded himself with people just like him. And it was bad, you taking out... Yeah. Everyone that he put in the seat of power long after he's dead. It just gets messy as... Oh. It was bad. Probably the worst villain in gaming I could think of right now. That would be Arcturus. Jeez. Or Hojo from 7. I mean, between killing Rosagast, Aerys' parents, creating Sephiroth, killing so many others. I mean, damn. But yeah, nothing compared to Arcturus killing billions of his own people. Arcturus would be the worst villain in game I could think of. A few decades of... Ugh. Oh, it gets messier and there than you think, you know? And they don't really tell you. It's left somewhat open at the end of Legacy of the Void. How things turn out there. They tell you that there's new life popped up at the Kapuru sector, kind of like the Search for Spock movie, you know? And send him off in his casket. But you really don't know as much about what's happening there. And Nova's DLC fills in a little more there too, but it's still left open enough. Excuse me. To where either, you know, another book, a graphic novel, DLC, or the next game could fill in those blanks. And I'm kind of wondering how that'll go. Yeah, it starts off in StarCraft, then to Brood Wars, then to Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void. And each game transitions into the next one. So yeah, like 2 decades of the same story. And then it goes from Legacy of the Void into Covert Ops with Nova. Backstory there. She wasn't turned into a Zerg, but Arcturus messed with her just as bad as Kerrigan, and she never even knew it. So she was responsible for quite a few deaths herself. I mean, billions. With no idea, you know, what she was playing a part in. It gets messy. It gets real messy. Arcturus just... man. Yeah. He assigned a lot of people to a lot of seats of power. And once he was gone, and he's down, you know, he had all kinds of plans in place to keep going with everyone he put in seat, regardless of who took his place. Essentially working against whoever fills that power vacuum. So I mean, Matt, who's the good guy, he's supposed to take over when Arcturus is gone. And Arcturus' son, you know, Emperor Valerian. You're thinking Emperor Valerian's just going to fill that power vacuum after Arcturus dies and it's all good. Oh no! Arcturus had seated so many people. And they even tried to kill his son Valerius long after he's dead. I mean, and screw stuff up so much worse. So yeah, Arcturus put so many people in power that it didn't really matter who filled the power vacuum. You know, it is just a horrible mess. Legacy of the Void is awesome, and so are the Covert Ops. I mean, it wraps up pretty well at the end of Covert Ops, transitioning from Legacy of the Void, but there's definitely room for more DLC or another game. I would love to see either. That would be killer. Oh, I mean, just done right then and there. That pops up, it's on there. Oh yeah. I mean, it's had so many updates. If you install just the base level of Wings of Liberty, and, you know, DVR a little, take some screen captures, then jump up to Heart of the Swarm, it doesn't even look remotely the same. Then jump up to Legacy of the Void. Though with their patch, that's not entirely true. When it went FTP, I'm pretty sure that they changed everything across the board. So everything runs, like when you go in the multiplayer, you select which version you want to run. Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, or Legacy of the Void. And you just check whichever one you want. And as far as graphical improvements, other things, units that are available, that's all there. When we went FTP and they did that big patch, I'm pretty sure that all graphical enhancements from Legacy of the Void are carried all the way back to Wings of Liberty now. It's beautiful. I mean, it really is beautiful. Yeah, they got 9 books, but there's so much there. I mean, 2 decades of story. It would be incredibly hard to compress that into an hour-and-a-half movie. Almost, I'd say, yeah, it would be impossible to compress that in an hour-and-a-half movie. Actually, there's more than an hour-and-a-half of cutscenes just between, yeah, just between everything from StarCraft 2. And it's not counting that, you know, one of the big things of StarCraft, I mean, when you played Red Alert back in the day, all you had, you know, was maybe a full motion video, and then you went in and destroyed the enemy. But they didn't have scripted events, voice acting, character interactions. StarCraft, when it hit, that was one of the big things. All of a sudden, you had hero units and live interactions and voice acting, and there was a story in there, you know? During the gameplay, there was a lot of story. Whereas before that, you had a video beforehand, just some real-time strategy, and then a video after. StarCraft was the first one to give you a story throughout the entire game, which means, you know, a lot of that story is done during the gameplay, not just the cutscenes. That makes it even more tricky. Yeah. Man, 8 hours. That's a lot of cutscenes. Man, New Quantum Break had a lot, but I didn't know Horizon Zero Dawn did. Wow. I'd take a lot of popcorn, man. Boy, you'd have to get something cold to drink with, too. Oh, wow. But yeah, it's about 4 o'clock, so I gotta call it evening. I'm trying to get started on mornings and get started broadcasting by 9. But it's been fun talking, man. And there's a lot happening with gaming, so yeah. This is going to be a good year for it. It's going to be a really good year for it. 2017 was a killer year, and I expect great things in 2018 as well. I hear you. Well, yeah. Hey, you too, man. I'm going to call it and broadcast again this evening. Later, man.